Mabuhay! My name is Isabel, and I'm from the archipelago of 7,107 islands, high tide, 7,108 low tide, the Philippines! I'm 31. I'm just kidding. I'm 41. I just wanted to see if you believe me. Because my friends, they ask me, Isabel, what's your secret for looking so young? And I tell them, ay, nako, Inday, it's all about moisturizing. That's why I use Dove, because you're more beautiful than you think. There are many Doves, but my favorite is Dove pomegranate. Ay, it smells so good. In Manila, I didn't even know what a pomegranate was. The first time I saw one here in Canada, I said, oh my, all those seeds, so hard to eat. That's why I just put it on my face. So, I've been living here in Vancouver for 8 years now. First 2 years as a live-in caregiver for the Choi family. After staying with the Chois, I got an open work permit. So, I opened the door of my life. I told myself, this is it, Isabel. This is your chance to find new opportunities. And when I was young, I always said, I want to be on Broadway. So I got a job here at Tim Hortons, near the train station on Broadway. After another 2 years, I got my permanent residence, and of course, I tried to get my family here right away. But that took another 2 years. So much paperwork, and plane tickets aren't cheap, I haven't gone home to Manila for 6 years. But who cares about that city? They don't film movies there like 50 Shades of Grey, unless you're talking about pollution. Anyway, last year, my son Miguel moved here to be with me. He's 15 now. He was barely 7 when I left Manila. But now he's here. My son is here. And after all these years of waiting, this is all that matters.
Hey, sup? Miguel here. Been in Vancouver for over a year. What's that? Oh yeah, Vancouver is okay, I guess. Pretty different. Well, very different. Stuff here is crazy expensive, like 100 times more than in Manila. We stay in this basement suite on 43rd and Fraser. Actually, I don't know why they call it a suite when there's nothing sweet about it. Freezing during winter, and I can't play my music because Mr. Rajagopal upstairs complains it's too loud. It's nothing like the place we had in Manila where we had real windows that overlooked the street. Now the street overlooks us. Basta, next year, I'm turning 16 and I can't wait to get a job. I'm gonna get one at Timmy's, earn a shitload of money, and get out of this dump. Yeah, that's all that matters.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning when it's still dark outside. I look at the white beams of the ceiling and I say to myself, where am I? How did I get here? I feel like I'm in that movie of Leonardo DiCaprio. What is that? The one where you're in a dream of a dream? Ay, alam ko na! I know! Inception! Then I realize, OMG! The dream is real! I have to get ready for work, so I make breakfast for Miguel and me, spam, fried eggs, garlic rice, and lots of banana ketchup. I'm sure you did not know you can make ketchup out of bananas, no? Only in the Philippines. Because all the bananas in the world come from us. FYI, banana ketchup is not yellow. It's red. We make it look like tomato ketchup so you don't think we're weird. In Manila, spam is not cheap. We only eat it on Sunday before going to church. Now, I tell my friends back home, you know what, Inday? In Canada, we eat spam every day. So after cooking, I shower quickly, and by 6, I'm out of the house to get to work. Miguel doesn't wake up till 8. Ay naku. Actually, I don't know what time the boy goes to bed. I have a second job at a grocery on Broadway and I'm there until 10 p.m. By the time I get home, Miguel is in his bedroom with his headphones on. He always says he's doing his homework, but I think he's just watching videos. But what can I do? Teenagers these days. Sometimes I want to go to his room and just ask him, how was your day, anak? How's school? After a whole day of speaking English, how would you like your coffee? 2 creams and a sugar, eh? Would you like a plastic bag? After a whole day of all that nonsense, I'd like to come home and hear his voice, to speak to me in Tagalog, so that so that I could be home again.
I got home after school yesterday and I was starving. Opened the fridge. Bagels and tuna salad. And leftover spam. Ugh. I hate tuna salad. I'm sick of bagels. I want rice and sinigang or adobo or caldereta. But I can only cook these dishes on Sunday, her day off. She'd make a whole pot and we'd eat it for the whole week. But today is Thursday and there's none left. That's what the tuna salad is for. Back in Manila, when I live at my lola's, my grandmother, every night we would have at least 3 dishes. My lola loved to cook. My cousins Julian and Susan and Uncle Alex lived there too. Julian is a year older than me and Susan I think is 8. Anyway, Uncle Alex works at the call center, graveyard shift. He's a customer service representative for Telos. You know when you call to complain about your cell phone bill and you call Telos and you think you're calling for someone who's in Surrey or New West? But the truth is, you're talking to my Uncle Alex in Manila. They're trained to speak in a Canadian accent like, how can I help you today? Or, let me adjust that bill for you. The other day, he told me that the customer was being friendly and said something about the Canucks game the night before. And he said, oh yeah, the Canucks. My uncle hasn't watched a single hockey game in his life. If he saw a puck, he'd think it was a paperweight. Uncle Alex has dinner with us before he leaves for work. It'd always be so noisy around the dining table. We'd be talking about our day, joking around, and Lola would keep on topping up our plate with food. Man, I'm hungry. Now I go home to our suite, and all I have is tuna salad and the TV. I don't know any of the neighbors, so I spend the rest of the evening playing GTA. And the best part is that Anay got me these kick-ass headphones last Christmas so that Mr. Rajagopal upstairs would stop complaining about the noise. So that means I could play until 2 in the morning, completely undetected. Yep, that's how it works.
Yesterday, I had a really bad episode at work. I had very little sleep the night before because I did the laundry and there was just so much to wash. Anyways, there was this woman who ordered a dozen donuts and I mixed up her order and gave her scones instead. If you ask me, I was doing her a favor by not giving her those donuts. Really? Anyway, she had to walk back several blocks with her little daughter to tell me I made a mistake. Of course, I kept on saying, oh, sorry. She wasn't rude or anything. In fact, when I handed her the donuts, she smiled and I apologized again. But then, when she started to head out, she turned to her daughter and said, this is why you have to study hard, my love. Because otherwise you'll end up just like her. I froze. Just like her. The words echoed in my head the whole day as I served the sausage biscuits and maple donuts and swiped cans of beans and corn and handed out plastic bags. Just like her. What does it mean to be just like me? When I got home, all I wanted was to see Miguel, to hear his voice. I wanted to find in his face some sign that I've made the right choices, that I've been a good mother, that I wasn't just like her. I knocked on his door. Miguel, anak. But he was asleep.
I couldn't sleep last night. It's exactly a year today since I last saw Itay, my father. I wonder how he is. If he thinks of me sometimes. When I was living with my lola and Inay was here in Canada, my father worked in Cavite, 40 kilometers away from my lola's place. He had a sales job there, and because traffic is really bad, he rented a room in Cavite and left me with my lola. He would go see me on Saturdays and sometimes he'd stay until Sunday. I remember he used to say, "Don't worry, anak. We'll see your Inay soon. Just wait. And the next thing you know, you'll be playing in the snow and eating spaghetti and meatballs every day." Every night I would wait for the phone to ring. For Inay to call and say, "Miguel, come to Canada tomorrow." But as years went by and I waited for that particular phone call, I began to see less and less of my father as well. At first he'd say he had to work overtime, that they needed him to work Saturdays. Sometimes it'd be because of the traffic. But even if he didn't come, I knew that just like me, he waited for Inay too.
Roberto, I can't wait for the time when my blood doesn't boil every time I think of that son of a bitch. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I allowed to say that here? But yes, I guess there's no better way to refer to him. Or wait, maybe, asshole. 10 years ago, when Miguel was 5, I was teaching English at a public high school and Roberto was a med rep. A salesperson for pharmaceuticals. He'd go to doctors and talk about this new wonder drug, how it will cure everything from migraines to acne. Anyway, we realized at one point that no matter how hard we work, what we were earning would never be enough to send Miguel to a good university or to buy a house. Our neighbor, Pasing, had a cousin who went to Canada through the live-in caregiver program. And Pasing told us how their whole family got to go to Canada and find jobs and that life was good. So I thought to myself, maybe I can do this. Yes, I love teaching, but I want to give my kid a good future. And in Manila, a teacher's salary will never be enough. At first, Roberto didn't like the idea. Nakakahiya, he would say. It's embarrassing. What would the neighbors say? A teacher going abroad to be a caregiver in someone's house? I told him, Roberto, there's no space for hiya here. If we want to build this family, we'll have to let go of shame. We just need to do what must be done.
I know, I really should be doing my homework, but who cares about that? Even if you don't get A's, you're still a winner here in Canada, diba? University is just for rich people anyway. The other day, Miss Nelson, that's my science teacher, she asked me something about the migration of swallows and I read about it and shit, but I couldn't speak up. I guess you could say I was kind of worried. That they might laugh again. The way they did a couple of months back when I said Shaughnessy instead of Shaughnessy. I don't know why, but I could never get that right.
In Shaughnessy, when I was working for The Choice, I got paid $8 an hour. They took 325 each month for room and board, and that left me with around 900. I would keep 150 to pay for my phone, my shampoo, and of course, my Dove pomegranate, and some money for going out on my days off. The rest, I would send home for Miguel's school and his living expenses. I was happy to earn more than twice I was earning in Manila, but of course, I was so homesick. I miss my family, gossiping with friends. I miss being a teacher. At first, I would call Roberto every week on Saturdays when he and Miguel were together. But then sometimes Roberto couldn't go to Manila, and to save money, I call every other week. Then it became once a month. Every night before going to bed, I would look at our family picture from the last Christmas I spent in Manila and think about how happy we were. Ay, ano ba, Isabel? What's a little homesickness? This is for your family. This is for Miguel.
When my mom finally got the family visa for us to come over, we had to wait another year to get the money ready for our tickets and stuff. Things were kinda okay the first couple of months we were here. Everything was so new and different. Snow, poutine, Japadog. As the weather got colder and colder though, temperatures at home got hotter and hotter. Inay and Itay started fighting. A lot. And it was always about money. I could never hear everything at the start because they used to fight in the room. Then later, they'd fight in the living room, and by then my headphones were already my best friend. One morning, I woke up and I went to get some juice in the kitchen and saw that things were missing. The TV, the microwave. I ran to my parents' room to tell them, Inay, Itay, we've been robbed. Call 911. But all I found was Inay sitting at the foot of the bed, crying. The closet was open and my father's clothes were gone. I haven't seen him since.
The moment I saw them at the airport, I ran and I hugged Miguel so tight. I think he couldn't breathe. I was afraid people would call 911 and report me for child abuse. I hugged Roberto and then we headed for the SkyTrain with all the luggage and we sat in front. While he and Miguel were looking outside the window to see what Vancouver was like, I remember looking at my son, then him, this man, my husband, the mole on his right cheek, his mustache, his pointy ears. I recognized all of these. But then I realized that there was also a part of him I didn't recognize anymore. And although I couldn't put my finger on it, I knew something had changed.
Things changed so much here. The weather, the seasons. One day you're at your Lola's where it's always sunny and you have so much fun. Next thing, you're in a city, trapped in a basement and it just keeps raining. Your voice changes, your body changes, and you feel like just a pancake at IHOP. Your whole world flipped upside down.
So of course, I took them downtown, I showed them Gastown, Yaletown, and my personal favorite, Metrotown. Everything was so new and exciting at first. But things changed when Roberto, no matter how hard he tried, couldn't find a job. He didn't want to do something like Tim Hortons. He thought it was beneath him. I'd tell him, but this is how it works here. You need Canadian experience. Nakakahiya, he'd say. And we'd always end up fighting. Because of my two jobs, I hardly get to see both of them. I'd be so exhausted when I get home. Many times, Roberto would go 5 blocks away to the house of Kiko, who's also from the same hometown. Kiko lived with his wife, 2 kids, his sister-in-law, and a cousin. And Roberto would go there practically every day so that they could talk about life back in the Philippines, how every day was a fiesta. Kami naman, the only time we had as a family was my day off on Sunday when we went to church. And that's when I'd pray to the Blessed Virgin Mary to knock some sense into my husband's head. Otherwise, I'll knock his head with something harder. Anyway, one night, this was like a year ago, he came home drunk. As I led him to bed and drew closer to him, I smelled something on his neck, and it was not the smell of Dove pomegranate. I know every fragrance of shampoo, lotion, laundry soap in this house, and I knew this was not one of them. Roberto, sabihin mo sa akin ang totoo. Tell me the truth. He broke down and cried. He'd been having an affair with that sister-in-law of Kiko for the past 3 months. At that moment, I couldn't think straight. All these years working here in Canada, giving up my hiya to care for him, for a son, this is how he repays me? Lumayas ka dito! Leave us! Don't ever come back! He took his clothes, some of our stuff, and then he left.
It's all her fault why Itay left. She's always, oh, Roberto, you have to do this. Roberto, why don't you do that? She's the same with me, and she drives me nuts. Miguel, study hard, do the dishes, just eat your tuna salad and stop complaining. In Manila, I never had to do dishes. Lola would always take me to school. Here, Inay keeps on saying, tandaan mo anak, school is important. But she never helps me with my homework. She doesn't even find time to attend the parent-teacher meetings, and I feel like I'm the only kid in school whose parents never show up. When she gets home, she's so tired. How can I give up a whole shift just to be able to attend the meeting at your school? It's always about making money, more money. It's for you, anak, for your future. But what about me now? What about my life now? She wants me to study college after. But what is college anyway? She graduated from a university in Manila. She was a teacher. Now she makes sandwiches and works at a grocery. What's a degree for? School is such a waste of time. But the next year when I'm 16, I'm gonna find a job and make my own money so that I don't have to hear her say, money doesn't grow on trees, Miguel, and how she sacrificed her life for me. But living so far away from me, not being able to see me for 7 fucking years. Now tell me, didn't she sacrifice me too?
Sacrificio. Sacrifice. This is what it's all about, right? Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That's what Father de la Cruz used to keep on telling us at our parish in Malabon when I was growing up. I had this image of heaven in my head. Everything was gold. The walls, the curtains, and there would be food everywhere. And snow. The angels would be flying around and we'll be dressed in white. So even when my parents couldn't feed their 7 children and we would go to sleep hungry, I thought, that's okay. In heaven, I'll have all the fried chicken I want with all the banana ketchup money can buy. All I need is to wait. And so when I thought of coming to Canada, I thought, what's a few years of sacrifice if I could do it for a better life for my son? The night before I left for Canada, when Miguel was about to go to bed, I held him in my arms. Anak, tomorrow, Inay is going somewhere, okay? Where, Inay? To this place called Canada. What will you do there? I'm going to find us a new house where everything is gold, with lots of food and where they have snow. Wow! I want to go with you, Inay. Not yet, anak. I have to go there first, and then you'll follow, okay? He nodded and then fell asleep. While he lay there, I look at my son's face, his eyes, his cheeks. I knew that tomorrow, if he saw me crying when I left, he would cry too, and I wouldn't be able to leave. So the next day, before he woke up, I kissed him on the forehead. And then I took my bags. And left. I was crying all the way to the airport. I was crying on the plane. Sometimes I feel I haven't stopped crying since.
Sometimes I feel this is when I started remembering things so clearly. That morning and I left. I remember waking up with the white beams of the ceiling looking down on me. I remembered my dream. I was in this beautiful place with big golden houses and snow. That must be Canada. That's where Inay said she was going. I was so excited. I ran to the kitchen to tell her, I saw it, Inay. I saw Canada. But she wasn't in the kitchen. And instead, I found my grandmother. Where is Inay, Lola? I want to go with her to Canada. Lola bent down and held my hand. Miguel, your Inay has left. Left where? Aren't we going with her? No, Canada is very far away. This morning, your itay took her to the airport. To the airport? Why didn't they take me? Oh, they don't allow kids at the airport. Why didn't she say goodbye? You were still asleep and she didn't want to wake you. But when will I see her? I remember the tears were already streaming down my cheeks. I want to see my Inay. And all that Lola said was, soon, Miguel, you'll see her. Soon.
Soon, anak. Soon. I promise you, life will be better. For you, for both of us. Soon.
That time my mother left when I was 7 soon became days, weeks, months. At 7, I realized a very painful truth. My mother had abandoned me. And as the years went by and her image began to fade, I could no longer remember what it feels like, the way she touched my cheeks, the feel of her hands. Sure, she sent home money, sent me toys and chocolates. Sure, there were phone calls and pictures, but you can't hug a phone call, can you? And a picture can tell you that everything will be all right.
Just wait, anak. Soon, everything will be all right.
Inay, all these years I've been waiting. Tell me, please tell me, when does soon begin?